All right, so the first European YCS in a very, very long time just took place in Bologna, Italy over the weekend. Now, I know my event reports usually go up on YouTube minutes after the event has ended, and I promise this is still going to be the case with upcoming events, but this report is only going live today because I was actually in Bologna, so there was no way for me to upload yesterday, and as much as I was sad about that, I still was at the YCS, which was one of the best experiences of my life. So today I'll be sharing some of my experience. And of course, we're also going to be going over the event deck breakdown, some very, very interesting deck choices for this event and more. So stay tuned and let's hop into it. Now, before we get started, I just want to quickly announce that Sleeve Chief is doing a huge Black Week sale that's gonna end on 8th of December. So you have a very long time to get some amazing accessories. They're restocking and dropping new products and everything is up to 60% off. And if you pair that with my code as well, it's code SHADOW for additional 5% off. I think you're going to get some really beautiful stuff for very cheap. So make sure to check that out and also like the video if you enjoy it and, chime in with some of your thoughts and comments. It really helps the channel with the algorithm and all of that. So if you want to help out that way, make sure to like. I would super appreciate it. So yes, let's hop into it. Now, this event was actually nothing like we've expected. 8 different decks made top 8. The event ended up being won by Fiendsmith Magical Musketeer. Now, the winning deck was actually not the only one by far, utilizing the Fiendsmith engine. It was literally probably the most used engine of the weekend. It was super broken and part of so many decks. But when we get to Top Cut, we're gonna get a little deeper into that. So let's start off with the day 1 deck representation and we're going to compare it to top 64 and I promise we're going to see some very interesting things happening. So the deck breakdown of day 1 consists of 14% Tempai, 13% Fire King, we have 10% Snake Eye, 10% Centurion, 7% Fiendsmith yugioh, and then also we have 3% of Runic and Labyrinth. So this makes a lot of sense, I would say. It is still fairly diverse, but this is pretty much what we've been expecting. And my matchups actually ended up looking very similar to this deck breakdown. I went 9-3 at the end, and I faced like 3 Centurion, 3 Fire Kings, I think, a Snake Eye deck, 2 Tempai, so you get the gist. I also played against 1 Labyrinth, so I literally faced everything from the deck breakdown. But let's also talk about how different top 64 is actually looking. So we still have Tempai, but only 7 made it, which is a significant drop off because I think Tempai was an okay choice for this event, but you would have to expect a lot of Tempai mirror matches. And just overall, you have to queue into decks that are okay matchups for you. I think overall this format particularly is quite matchup dependent and this affects your performance at an event. There's also 13 Snake Eye, which is very interesting compared to only 5 Fire King, seeing as how, in my opinion, Fire King is the superior fire deck to Snake Eye. I don't think Snake Eye is that incredible, but it is super consistent and still very, very strong. Maybe I'm just a little biased comparing it to yugioh, for example, which, was represented at 8 in top 64. I think this deck was, I should say, a great choice for this event. People are not as prepared for it. They don't really have specific side deck cards for it. You kind of just have to hand trap it and hope it works, which usually it's not gonna work. And yugioh also ended up being my choice for the event. And I think it was a great choice, actually. I lost to 2 Tempai because Tempai just kind of messes with us and there's not much we can do. And I did lose a mirror match, but yugioh was a very, very good choice and ended up going all the way to the finals, which we'll get to later. But since we're on the topic of my experience at the event, I had the most incredible time, honestly, and I'm so thankful for every single one of you that came up to me. I felt very humble getting to sign your cards. Well, of course, I was signing Ray and Lacrima mostly. I have no idea why, but you know, you can check out my socials if you want to know more about that. And also about my entire experience and me going 9-3 and all of that. Check out my Twitter. I post there like all the time and talk about all of that. So if you're interested, make sure to check it out. But overall, yeah, the event was it was great. And again, thank you so much for everyone that came up to me. I was super excited to be able to sign your cards and take pictures with you and all of that. And everyone was just so nice. And I got to meet some people from the inner circle and talk in real life and all of that. So that was great. I also want to talk about something that I got. I just want to show you because just look at him. He is perfection. He was with me throughout the entire event, chilling in my bag. I also gave him a little pet on the head before I started my matches and during sighting. He was just here for me and I'm so happy. And something else we also got at the event, we got a lot of stuff, mainly for Edison and some Funko Pops. But I wanted to show you something because I know you guys are going to appreciate that. But we acquired 2 Ultimate Rare Judgment Dragons. They're pretty much near mint. They're just so perfect. I'm sorry, this is Edison content, I know, but I love it. I love them so much. Let's continue. Ritual Beasts were actually represented at 6. And I genuinely think Ritual Beast is not a bad choice at all. It's playing shifter. It's got very decent combos and can play through hand traps fairly easily. And mainly, Protoss Calling Fire is very strong. As you can see by all the deck breakdowns, there was a lot of fire at this event. But again, there was also a lot of diversity. So it mattered what you played against. And I would say the Ritual Beasts that did top probably faced a lot of fire and just won with Protoss or faced, I don't know, yugioh and won with Calling Dark. I think Protoss is a very important part of this deck. And then we get to Fiendsmith Kashtira. Now this deck, I wanna spend a little more time talking about this deck. It actually managed to go quite far. Pak played it and he got top 8. Here on the screen, you also see Dinkabui's deck. With Shadow Dinkabui, he is just such a great player and he made it very far with this deck as well. And overall, I knew about this deck before the event. Shout out Inner Circle and everyone in there. And basically a lot of guys from Team Raid and Trade also played it, most of them, I think, and Pak and all of those people. And they made it super far. I would say this number, 6, is pretty much everyone from Raid and Trade and Pak. So yes, pro players decided for this deck particularly because it is just hand traps and Kashtira cards and Fiendsmith cards. And how this deck ended up existing is pretty much, well, at least that's what happened in the Inner Circle with Pak's, theorizing. It's the yugioh deck with Kashtira cards minus the yugioh cards, because Fiendsmith cards are just too broken. So if you take the approach of going second yugioh with Kashtira and all of that, and you just cut yugioh and cut the board breakers, you find out that Kashtira cards are amazing in hand trap wars because they are bodies that stick on the board and actually deal with everything else your opponent has after you're done trading 1-for-1 with your hand traps and their plays. And Fiendsmith cards are just so broken. They are so good. 3 Lacrima, Desiree, the new Link, which is amazing, the Trap card, which is just unreal. You can search it with Engraver during your turn, set it, and use the effect where you send everything off of their field except the one Light Fiend you target that's 7 or higher, which is the Desiree, of course. So you nuke their field. You can also send 1 copy with Lacrima, and it's got an additional effect that's gonna let you send a Desiree to the graveyard during the opponent's turn. So after you nuke their field, you actually deal with the remaining card that they have, which is some kind of extender probably. And it's also playing 22 hand traps. So the deck was a great meta call. And as you can see, a lot of players made it very, very far. Now, I don't know how well it's going to continue doing. Of course, the format is going to change, and this was just a meta call for this particular event because it just pairs so well into fire. And the yugioh matchup can be a little tough, but it is doable. And as for everything else, you just deal with Rogue and anything that may come your way because of the hand traps that you play. So I love this deck. I think it's great. And I'm just super excited for everyone that did well with it. And there's also Fire King and Kashtira. Again, Kashtira cards and Fiendsmith cards were literally at the forefront of this event. They were incredibly good. You know, also with all the Tempais and Shifters, Kashira cards are just super solid. People play Kashira cards in yugioh as well, so this is like some of the most played cards of this event. As for the other decks, we have 2 Mermeo, 3 Centurion, Memento, Chimera Fiendsmith, Voiceless Voice, Magical Musketeer, which of course ended up winning, Lab, Adventure Sinful Spoils, 60 cards, Orcust, Salamangreat. Like, this is literally 2019 mixed with 2024. It was a wild event. A lot of decks ended up doing super well. But now let's hop into the deck breakdown of top 8, because this is like, it's just super cool. So Tempai, Mermeo, Fiendsmith yugioh, Magical Musketeer, Memento, Orcust Horus, Ritual Beast, and Fiendsmith Kashira. Like, you know, it's amazing. So some of the decks we haven't mentioned so far, Mermeo is a great deck. It is just amazing. Going first, incredible. It plays through hand traps like it's nothing. And going second, you're actually fine. You know, you have your heavy infantries, your hand traps, your impulse. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with Mermeo. And Memento, also a very solid deck. Orcust Horus, just great, because Horus cards are nice and you can play thrusts, talents, super polymerizations, Kashira cards. So let's talk about top 4. Tempai, Memento as well. Like I said, a good choice for this event, because it's, you know, people don't really know much about Memento, how to disrupt it, how to deal with it. And it's a solid combo deck that does deal with hand traps fairly well. Again, yugioh, a very good choice. Although this player played Escape, which I don't want to go off on a tangent. I think Chamber is better. And also in the feature match, he got Nibirut. And in the Chamber build, he wouldn't get Nibirut, or like Valor Nibirut, if he played the Chamber combo that actually beats Nibiru Valor. I'm not trying to, you know, sound like I'm trying to be smart or something, but I do prefer the Chamber build. But of course, props to this person for, you know, getting to the finals with yugioh. I'm super hyped to see that. And as for the Fiendsmith Magical Musketeer deck that ended up winning the entire event, again, Fiendsmith cards, they're just good. He played pretty much the Fiendsmith Kashira hand trap deck, but he just swapped some of the stuff with Magical Musketeer, which is a very solid engine going second. And Fiendsmith cards just, they grind infinitely, and the trap card is broken. Pretty much everything we've discussed before. And yeah, it was just great seeing the event have so much diversity and just cool underdog decks pretty much that kind of came up at the top, like Mermeo and Memento and stuff like that. And very interesting decks making top cut. And also something I want to talk about quickly is the fact that the stream was incredible. Again, European streams are just superior. Everything they're doing, all of the content, and they're also going to be releasing footage of Ultimate Time Wizard matches, which I think is just great. Edison format at YCS is not getting enough love, in my opinion. And the fact that they're going to be doing some actual footage that's covered, you know, with commentary, so that you can see what's been going on in Edison lately, current Edison, however you want to put it. I think that's just amazing. So all in all, I think this event was pretty much the perfect event to end this format, because Anaheim is going to be taking place with Raizio and Malice legal. So the new set is going to impact the meta, in my opinion. And I'm super hyped to be able to drop a report as soon as Anaheim ends, because I will not be attending Anaheim, but I will be watching, and I'm so excited to see everything that's going to be happening in the new format. But as for this event, I had literally the best time of my life, probably, when it comes to my Yu-Gi-Oh life, and I'm super proud of my result, which did end up being 9-3. Again, thank you to everyone who came up, and I think it was a cool event overall with the amount of different decks and all of that. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed in this report. Make sure to like it if you did, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.